Well, I am a mother of three. I'm a former Girl Scout. I'm a professor at the University of Tulsa College of Law. I teach water, natural resources, energy, and regulation. And I decided to run because I'm an expert in the area of all of the issues that the Oklahoma Corporation Commission covers.
In 2021, Oklahoma experienced an unusual but predicted cold weather event. The fallout from that storm left Oklahomans holding the bag for over $5 billion in costs incurred in a matter of hours due to purchasing off the high-priced gas spot market. If elected, what will you do to prevent something like this from happening again?
The 2021 storm event was unusual, but it was not unprecedented. In fact, Oklahoma has had 4 such events in the last 40 years. Furthermore, the 2021 winter storm Uri affected places from Canada down to Mexico. So it's a shame and it's embarrassing that Oklahoma was not ready when states to our north that have much colder temperatures were ready. So what we have here is a failure of preparedness. In the future, Oklahoma utilities and the OCC need to be working closely with the Federal Oversight Commission, which is called the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, as well as with our grid provider, the Southwestern Power Pool. As a commissioner, what I would do is make sure we have a utility audit to make sure that all of our utilities are ready for both high heat and cold weather events in the future. I would also make sure that everybody at the commission is fully engaged in their jobs and make sure that we are not just approving prices willy-nilly for utilities, but we're closely examining their claims.
What will your approach be for determining if a requested rate increase is justified, and what factors will you consider in your decision-making process?
The way we should look at rates for the Oklahoma Corporation Commission is, are they just, prudent, and reasonable? So the commission really needs to look at whether the costs that utilities are putting forward are in fact prudent. For example, in the winter storm, the costs that the utilities put forward because they were not prepared were not prudent, and the commission could have denied them. Meanwhile, people who were with electric cooperatives had much lower costs. So I think the easiest way to look at costs is just to look at our statutory guidelines, but also to really examine what the utilities are saying and see if it meets the common sense threshold. So that's how I would keep rates down.
We continue to see efforts to build new power plants, invest in alternative energy, and shore up the utility grid. How will you approach the cost investments needed for these projects to ensure fairness for ratepayers?
In terms of fairness to the ratepayers, we're in an excellent situation because Congress and the President recently passed the Inflation Reduction Act as well as the Infrastructure and Jobs Act. So there is a lot of money for Oklahoma, both to modernize our grid as well as to invest in renewable energies. I would argue that we need to really diversify our energy portfolio. It helps with resilience enormously, and in particular, we're losing an opportunity with solar. But the money is there. We don't need to raise taxes. And I'm skeptical of utilities who say they're using money to modernize the grid, because that should just be incorporated into their costs. Ratepayers should not have to use their money to support improvements to utility structure. In terms of modernizing the grid in general, we can use the money from the Infrastructure and Jobs Act for that. So I will definitely be an advocate for ratepayers at all times, and I will always closely examine cost requests.